Hello friends, and welcome again to my YouTube channel. And this is our course in which we are learning about the salient features of the Indian Constitution. And this is lesson number 2 of the course, in which we will be reading about the federal with unitary bias system and the parliamentary form of government. So as we must be knowing that Indian Constitution provides for federal with unitary bias form of administration in our country, as well as parliamentary form of government. So we'll see in detail both these points. My name is Rohan Kumar Singh. So if you like this video, do hit the like button, and if you want to get more such videos on different educational topics, you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. So here are some of the topics which I have covered in my previous video. That we have discussed about the lengthiest written constitution, that is the Indian Constitution, and it is one of its feature. We have also discussed about the various sources from which Indian Constitution has been derived in a broad way, and we have also discussed about the Indian Constitution. It is a blend of rigidity and flexibility. Okay, so if you have not watched my previous video, please do watch it. So here are some of the features of the federation. Okay, so what are the federal features that we have adopted in our constitution, we can say, or we can say in our governance, okay, in the governance of India. So the first point is two governments. Okay, two governments mean one government at the central level, that is the union government, and the other is the government at the states level, that is the state government. Third point is the division of powers. So in the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution, we have three separate type of lists. The first is the federal list, in which the union government is empowered to make any kind of law. The second is the state list, in which the state government is empowered to make the law. And the third is the concurrent list, in which both the union and state governments can make laws. So there is division of powers between the union and the state governments. Third is the supremacy of the constitution. So in our country, in India, neither the government nor the legislature, as well as neither the judiciary, is fully sovereign, or we can say is fully empowered. Okay, the power is divided between all these functionaries, and supreme is the constitution, that is the law of our land, is the Constitution of India, is supreme among all of them. Okay, now some other features of the federation is the rigidity of the constitution, that is article 368. So in my previous video I have also discussed about the provision of article 368, which is there for the amendment of the constitution. So in article 368 there are two provisions which are mentioned. The first is the amendment with special majority. Okay, and the second is the special majority with ratification of half of the states of the Indian Union. So it is a kind of very rigid procedure which is not very easy to do. So a kind of rigidity is there, which is a federal feature of our constitution. Next is independence of judiciary. So in our country, the judiciary is independent from legislature as well as the executive. Okay. Next is bicameralism. Bicameralism means the presence of two houses in the parliament. So our parliament comprises of Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha. Okay. So there are some states also where there are two houses. The first is the legislative assembly and the next is the legislative council. So Lok Sabha generally represents the representative of the people, that means it is the house of the people, whereas Rajya Sabha is the council of states, which represents the states as a whole. So bicameralism means two houses, one Lok Sabha, another one is Rajya Sabha. Now there are some unitary features also in our constitution and in the Indian polity. The first is the strong center. So there are some provisions during which the central government or the union government assumes more significance than that of the state government, especially during the time of emergency. Whenever a emergency is there in any state or in the India as a whole, the central governments become more powerful. Okay, and there are also some provisions which indicate the center is generally stronger than the state government. Next is the single citizenship. So in India we have a provision of single citizenship. That means a citizen is having only one citizenship, that is the Indian citizenship. There is no separate state citizenship. Whereas if we take the example of United States of America, the citizens of that country, they have citizenship of their states as well as the citizenship of the US. Whereas in case of India, there is only single citizenship. Okay, that is the citizenship of India. Next is flexibility of constitution. So there are some provisions which are easily amended with simple majority, or we can say a procedure which requires simple passage of law in the parliament. Okay, like if we want to change name of any state, if we want to change the boundary of any state, okay, if we want to amend some provision, like if we want to add certain languages in the 8th schedule of the constitution, so all those things can be done with simple majority. So a kind of flexibility is also there. Integrated judiciary. Integrated judiciary means the judicial system in India, that is the high court in the states as well as the lower courts in the districts as well as the Supreme Court. Okay, all these courts, they enforce both the state laws as well as the laws of the center. Okay, so this is integrated judiciary with Supreme Court at the top. Below it there are high courts and lower courts. Presence of all India services. So all India services are those services which are common for both the center as well as the states. So three services are categorized as the all India services. The first is the Indian Administrative Service, IAS. The second is IPS, and the third is Indian Forest Service, IFS. So these three services are common to both center as well as the state. Next is the emergency provisions. So there are elaborate provisions which are mentioned in the Constitution, Article 352, 356, 355, which talks about the emergency provision. So during the emergency, the administration in India changes to unitary. Okay, that means center becomes more powerful than the states. And Article 1, so okay, Article 1 of the Indian Constitution says India as union of states. So the word federation is not mentioned in the Constitution. Okay, because Indian federation is not a result of agreement between the states, unlike the USA. So in India there are 29 states and there is no agreement between them to form a federation. Okay, that's why we cannot say India is purely federal country. Although we have adopted certain federal features, but we cannot say that India is a pure federal country. Okay, so India is defined as a union of states in the Constitution in Article 1. Second reason why India has been called as union of states in the Constitution is that no state has a right to secede from the federation. That means no single state of India can say that I want to secede from the Indian Federation. It is not in their jurisdiction. Okay, now Indian Constitution, hence we can say that Indian Constitution is federal in form but unitary in spirit, or we can say it is a quasi-federal type of structure of the Indian polity or the Indian Constitution. Now we'll discuss about the parliamentary form of government. So India has adopted for parliamentary form of government. So in a parliamentary system, there is a coordination between the legislature and the executive organs, because executive is responsible towards the legislature for their acts and policies, as well as the member of the executive is the member of the legislature. So there is a kind of interdependence between the legislature and the executive organ. While if we took the example of presidential system, just like in the USA, there is a doctrine of separation of power. That means executive is totally separated from the legislature. Executive may be or may not be withdrawn from the legislature, and the executive is not responsible towards the legislature for their acts and policies. Now the parliamentary system, it is also known as Westminster model. Okay, Westminster model of government, and it is a responsible government and cabinet government. So parliamentary system is also known as Westminster model, responsible government and cabinet government. Now here are some of the features of the parliamentary form of government in India. The first is the presence of nominal and real executive. So we have nominal executive like the President of India, who is the head of the executive, whereas we have the real executive like the Prime Minister of India, who is the real head of the executive. Second is the rule of the majority party. Whatever the party which secures majority vote in the legislature, they are invited to form the government. So there is a rule of majority party, and it is one of the form of parliamentary form of government. Third is collective responsibility. As I have already told you, collective responsibility of the executive to the legislature for their acts and policies. Fourth is the membership of ministers in the legislature. That means only those persons can be ministers who are the member of the legislatures. Okay, but there are some provisions during which ministers can also be derived outside the legislature, but in a specified time period they have to obtain the membership of the legislature, and it is necessary, otherwise they will lose their position as a minister. Fifth point is the leadership of prime minister or chief minister. So in the India at the union level, the leadership is in the hand of prime minister, whereas in the state level the leadership is in the hand of chief minister. Dissolution of lower house. So it is also a very important feature of parliamentary form of government that dissolution of lower house can be done on the advice of prime minister and its cabinet, and it can be done by the President of India. Okay, and Indian parliament is not a sovereign body. It is also important that Indian parliament is not a totally sovereign body, whereas the British parliament, it is a totally sovereign body, because there is a feature of judicial review where the laws made by the parliament can be checked by the legislature by the virtue of Article 32 and Article 226 of the Indian Constitution. Now, Indian state has an elected head. That's why India is called as Republic. So our president, who is the elected head of our country, is being elected by our representatives, that is the member of the parliaments and the legislature. While if we take the example of Britain, there is a hereditary head there. Okay, so it is a form of monarchy. Whosoever is from the royal family, like the king, the prince, the queen, so they are all the head of the British state, whereas in India we have an elected head. That's why we are called as Republic. So thank you very much guys for watching this video. If you like this video, do hit the like button, and if you want to get more such videos on different educational topics, you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have any kind of doubts, any kind of queries which you want to ask, please post it in the comment section below and I will reply to you. So thank you very much friends once again, and have an awesome day.